Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Regular viewers will know I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Today we're taking an introduction look, a brief look at a new camera that I've purchased, which is the Panasonic G9. And here it is, absolutely fantastic piece of kit. It's Panasonic's flagship stills camera, but I purchased it more for video, although there's many features within the still side that I'm actually beginning to fall in love with, and I think it's fantastic. So that's the G9. Ergonomically, it's absolutely awesome. It's kind of similar to how my Nikon Z6 and my Nikon Z50 work. So on the top plate, you've got your, particularly like the Z6, you've got your function buttons along here, and you've got a display here which shows the basic information: battery level, what card slots are being used, aperture setting, shutter speed setting, that kind of malarkey. So also, unlike the Nikon Z6, you can actually light it up. So if you're working in a low light situation, you can light it up, which I think is a great little feature. And on the top there, you've also got the three settings that I've left as they are. So you've got your white balance, ISO, and exposure compensation on the top here. So you just push that in and then use the control wheel. Let's take the lens cap off. You just use the control wheel to set the actual settings. So, or you can use a touchscreen. And that's a wonderful thing about this camera. It is touchscreen enabled, and that's not just with touch to focus like it is on most of the Sonys. It's actually a touchscreen throughout pretty much everything, the menus, focus, adjusting settings and what have you. So all you do is, let's do that again. So you click on, let's say that one is white balance, and then you can use the touchscreen just to go through your white balance settings, or if you're old school, use the dial. That is really, really good. And it's a really clear screen. It's a 3-inch screen. I'm not sure what the pixel dot is, pixel dot, what the pixel density is. I'm not quite sure what that is. I'll look it up and put it on the screen. So you've got that one. Obviously, that is ISO. Again, just adjust it by your finger or your control wheel. So a very efficient way of using the function buttons. And there's an absolute plethora of function buttons. Not just the function buttons that are actually, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that as well. Not just the physical function buttons, there's function buttons actually in the display itself. So you can go over to there and you can preset certain functions on the function buttons on the display. So if you run out of physical function buttons, set them up on the display here. And that's quite incredible. It's also got 2 function buttons on the front of the camera. Again, kind of similar to the Nikon Z6 and Z7. I got the top one, there's 2 there, one at the bottom and one at the top. I've got the top one set for adjusting the audio level, because I'm kind of using, well, I am actually, I'm going to kind of use this predominantly for video. I've done a few videos with it, and I've been absolutely chuffed to bits with its autofocus. I did have a GH5, and the GH5 autofocus was pants, so I got rid of the GH5. But Panasonic have done something to this, possibly because of the version 2 firmware update. But I've got the top function button, so this button at the top here, I've got set to adjusting the audio levels. So I can just turn those levels using the control wheel. Again, I can do it, I think oh, you can, yeah, see? You can do it via the touchscreen, but I just do it via the control wheel on the back, and that will set the audio levels according to what I need. So ergonomically, great, a really, really good grip. I'm very, very pleased with that grip. Again, I keep referring back to the Nikon Z6 and the Z50. I love the grips on those cameras. Well, I love the grip on this camera, actually. It is really good. it's a slightly bigger camera than you would expect with Micro Four Thirds. And I've got an Olympus OM1, the original OM1. The OM1 Mark II is pretty much the same size. But actually, do you know what? It isn't really much smaller. Psychologically, it feels, you think it is smaller. It feels heavier as well, so I don't know. So maybe it isn't that big, but you know, it feels bigger than a Micro Four Thirds camera should be. That's all I can say. I don't know the actual weight of it. I've got it on the screen here. My iPad's died. The weight is, where have I put down the weight? The weight 658 grams. So that's, you know, that's heavier than you would find with certainly the Nikon Z50, and it's probably about the same weight as the Z6. But bearing in mind, it is a Micro Four Thirds sensor. It's not a full frame sensor in here. But yeah, ergonomics, great. You've got your PASM dial on the top here, and that's lockable. So you can just push that in, and then that locks it. So that's great. I don't bother locking it because it's a good solid click. I don't think you're going to accidentally move that. A 3-inch articulating screen. Now, for video, again, awesome. You can move it out, and there you have yourself a great selfie screen. Really, really like that. That's awesome. That is marvellous if you're doing selfies or you're filming yourself. And, you know, so many of us work solo, like I do. I work on my own. So being able to see what you're filming is great. And the other thing I love about this screen, which the Nikons are not great at, and Canon's certainly not great at, is the audio levels. You can clearly see on the back of the screen the audio levels flashing there. And for me, as a video producer, it's great to see your audio. Obviously, it's articulating, so, you know, you can articulate the screen in whatever direction you need, and have no screen on the back if that's what your desire is. Absolutely, you know, tremendous. So I like that. I do like that. The only thing I'm not that fond of, when you're doing photographs and you're doing, you know, photographs up like that, I like to be able to tilt it. Or if you're doing low angle shots, tilt it up. So the screen's protected by the body of the camera. But with these articulating screens, it isn't. You have to do it like that. So it's out of the, it's from to the side of the camera. And I always worry that, you know, it might get knocked, or, you know, if I drop it, I smash the screen, you know. There we go. That's a by the by. Hot shoe for flash guns or sticking a microphone on, whatever. Unlike the GH5 will take the audio, the XLR audio adapter. This one won't. So you are restricted to using the 3.5mm jack. But at least Panasonic have put a headphone jack and a mic jack on the side of the camera here. And that is great. So you've got both. You've got both headphone and microphone jack. It's all weather sealed. So these flaps are completely weather sealed, as long as they're closed, obviously. And underneath the headphone jack and mic jack, you've got USB 3, so it's a faster transfer, although I use card readers for transferring the information. And you've got a full-size HDMI port, which is tremendous. And again, that's a pro feature. A full-size HDMI port means a lot to us videographers, means nothing to photographers. But if you're into video, full-size HDMI port, brilliant. So that's that side. The only minor thing, and it is a kind of minor thing, when the screen's out, anything plugged into these ports does interfere with the screen. You can't turn the screen and what have you. Although you can plug a mic in, so because the mic is further up from where the screen is. So, you know, that's pretty decent. On this side, you've got, if I can turn it around without dropping it, 2 SD card slots, which again, a pro feature, 2 SD card slots. You know, And so it goes to show Panasonic are targeting this camera, serious enthusiasts, pros and semi-pros. And they're both of them are UHS-2 card slots. So they're fast read and write speeds on that. So here we go, 2 SD card slots. Again, weather sealed. What I do with photographs anyway, I use slot 1 for me raw images and slot 2 for me JPEGs. Works a treat for me, that does. So that's basically that. Micro Four Thirds mount, we've already covered that. So you can see there, it's a much smaller sensor than you would find. Well, I say much smaller. It isn't much smaller. It's a smaller sensor than what you'll find in APS-C and in full frame. But that's basically the sensor. No problem at all. And that's basically the ergonomics of the actual camera. The only minor thing with the Nikons, which I'm used to, the aperture control dial on the front is sort of around the front of where the shutter release is. But on here, it's on the top. So it's a little bit more awkward to get to than it is on the Nikon. The Nikon, I like it around the front. On here, it's on the top. But not a big deal, you know, it's just one of those things. It takes lithium-ion battery. I can't remember what model it is, but basically that just slots in the bottom there. Big chunky battery, about 350 to 400 shots per battery charge. So that's pretty decent. And video is pretty decent. Panasonic are pretty, I wouldn't say renowned, but they are, you know, their batteries do last a long time in their cameras, and they are really good. And so that's pretty much tripod plate on the bottom, pretty much the ergonomics of the G9. It has got, let me go back to here we go. Now, I've said it's got a 20 megapixel sensor, but with the firmware 2 version, as far as video is concerned, you've now got internal 10-bit 4K recording. And you can set that up in the menus or quick menus. If you look at the quick menu here, you won't see that, but you can go to your different, right, there we go. So we've got a whole range of flavors of 4K with this camera. And you're not going to see them, but you can see the pages there, page 2, page 3, page, you know, so 5 pages of video codecs within this camera, 5 pages of them, and you're looking at in 4K, it does, in 10-bit, it does 30 frames, 25 frames and 24 frames a second in 10-bit recording, internal. That is, you know, and I'm going to be doing more playing with it. I'll be doing a separate video regarding the 10-bit internal recording. That is phenomenal. 8-bit recording is even more. With 8-bit, which is perfectly fine for YouTube and vast majority of video filming you're going to be doing. And the reason why I say it's perfectly fine, because of the compression that YouTube puts on these videos, you're not going to see the difference between 10-bit and 8-bit. You will do if you're doing a lot of color grading and green screen or blue screen. But if you're not doing any of that, then 8-bit is fine. And in 8-bit, we have, let's have a quick look here. We've got 60p, 50p, which here in the UK 50p would be great, which enables you to do slow motion with sound, you know, slow motion in 4K. Wow. 30-bit, 25-bit and 24-bit, which is kind of your cinema settings. So this is a phenomenal video camera. And now that they've improved the autofocus, it makes it even better. And we've got variable frame rate as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So you can create your slow motion footage right down. Well, you can actually do fast motion as well. So again, I'll do a separate video on how the VFR works, because it only works in certain modes. So I'll be doing more about that. What I forgot to mention regarding the USB, which again, I really wish Nikon had implemented this. Fuji have, Panasonic have. Nikon, why can't you implement it? It's power. You can power it by USB, and the side here it's got a USB 3 port. You can actually power the camera by USB and charge it. You can't do both at the same time, so it'll either charge it, charge the battery, or it'll power it. So if you're doing videos like this, long videos, and you are concerned the battery might run out, and you don't want to pay 200 quid for the Panasonic battery grip, get a USB block, you know, USB battery block, and that'll power it. Isn't that fantastic? You know, I think they've covered so many angles with this particular camera. One of the major selling points of this camera, and pretty much all the Micro Four Thirds cameras, is its image stabilization. It's got 5-axis in-body image stabilization. Absolutely phenomenal. I had forgotten, I used to own an OM1 too, Olympus OM1, OMD EM1, whatever it's called, OMD EM1 Mark II. I used to own one of them, and that was a great camera. The image stabilization, you could go right down to, you know, a 1/10 of a second, 20th of a second. You can on this. And I'll show you some of the images in just a second, you know. Great, it's just phenomenal. It's not reliant on the image stabilization in the lens, it's in the body. So, you know, phenomenal. And so, yeah, so that's basically all the, you know, things I can think of ergonomically about the G9. I keep wanting to call it the G7, the G9. That's basically about the G9. So if we look at some of these images, you can see here, you know, beautiful sharpness. This was taken on the Olympus 12-40. Great lens. And also, the Micro Four Thirds lenses are so much more compact. I mean, if you look at, I've got a 12-100 lens here somewhere. Is it on here? Yeah. You look at this 12-100, is that the, no, that's for 12-40. Yeah, so that's a 12-40. Where did I put my 12-100? Can't be far away. Oh, there it is. So, you know, you look at this Olympus 12-100. That is an exceptionally compact lens, constant f4 throughout the entire range. They are tremendous, beautiful quality lenses. So these were all taken out. Again, lovely depth of field between their foreground and background, colour, dynamic range, you know, sharpness, absolutely superb, you know. And you can print these bigger than A3 if you need to. You could do really large prints with these Micro Four Thirds cameras. So it's the micro bit. Get out of your head the word micro, just call them 4 thirds. But then don't get confused with the original Olympus 4 thirds because the lenses won't fit. But look at the colour depth and the, you know, sharpness. You can't better the sharpness. Now this is low light because it's indoors, and that's 1/20th, yeah, 1/20th of a second. One of my little moggies, you know, she's cute. She's asleep in the living room at the moment, but look at the detail there. That's handheld 1/20th of a second. Now, I haven't got the steadiest of hands. I personally think that is a game changer. I really do. You know, they're not, you know, they're not amazing images. And look at the bokeh. You can get that creamy bokeh. Nice rings there. What lens is that? Oh, that's for Panasonic 25mm lens, which is effectively 50mm in full frame terms. But, you know, absolutely beautiful sharpness. Absolutely delighted. I really like this Micro Four Thirds system. This new version 2 firmware has introduced animal detect and eye detect, and I thought, what a gimmick, you know. But since playing with it in the garden, photographing the cats and even in the house and birds in flight, it's no gimmick. It's staggering how it works. I mean, the artificial intelligence and the, you know, and whatever they've done, I don't know what they've done. I know Sony have introduced it, Olympus have, But if you're into photographing wildlife, maybe, you know, dogs and cats, then, you know, this will be a fantastic choice because you don't have to worry about nailing the focus. It will nail the focus, honestly. It will just, you know, it just know. I don't know how it knows, and I'm not even going to try to understand how it knows. Yeah, I've got a, I've set up a function button. Which one have I set it up on? Yeah, function 1. Function 1, and then that brings up the different focus modes, as you can see there. And that's on face, eye detect, face, body, and animal detect. Now you can turn animal detect off, so it's just a human's face and eye. I'm not sure what the benefits of turning that on or off are at the moment. I've not had the camera long enough, but yeah, I'll leave it set to on, and you're ready to go. You know, there we go. Yeah, so that's my initial thoughts on the Panasonic G9 micro four thirds mirrorless camera. Great product. It's at a great price as well now. 900 and body only 900 and something quid, isn't it? I'm not sure. Yeah, absolutely great piece of kit. Highly recommended. So there we go. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. And as I say, please make a note that there are going to be more videos coming out regarding the Panasonic G9. And I'm going to particularly focus on its focus modes. Did you see what I've done there? And it's 10-bit video recording, slow motion stuff, etc, etc. So there'll be 2 separate videos. So once again, thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, so you do get notified of new videos that I release. And please hit the like button for this video if you do like the content of this video. Really appreciate that. Thanks very much for watching, and stay tuned for more videos. Thanks again. Bye for now.